Hello, I'm Escondido Police Chief Ed Varso. The following critical incident debrief was prepared to give our community a better understanding of the events surrounding an officer-involved shooting on April 21st, 2021 at 2nd Avenue and Broadway, which resulted in the death of 59-year-old Stephen Olson. We will discuss the nature of the original call for police service, the actions of the responding officers, and the demeanor and the actions of Stephen Olson that day, as well as the months leading up to the encounter. This debrief includes portions of the 911 call, evidentiary photographs, and footage from body-worn cameras and surveillance cameras. Following any officer-involved shooting, a detailed investigative process is immediately launched. The investigation is currently being conducted by the Escondido Police Department Crimes and Violence Unit. The process includes an independent review by the San Diego County District Attorney's Office, U.S. Attorney's Office, and the FBI to determine if the officer's actions were reasonable under the law. The decision as to the legality of the shooting is rendered by the San Diego County District Attorney's Office. In general, such a determination is made within 180 days. In accordance with state law, documents associated with this investigation will become public once the investigation is complete. As we do with all uses of force, an internal review will be completed specifically examining what, if any, improvements to existing policy and training should be made to further improve the outcomes of use of force encounters. A warning, the video you're about to watch is graphic and very likely disturbing to young children and other sensitive viewers.
I'm reporting a crime at West 2nd Avenue.
What kind of?
It's in the alleyway between 2nd and Grand. There's a gentleman, looks like white, male, about 40 years old. He is hitting vehicles in the parking lot.
Hitting with what? With his fist or with an object?
With an object. Looks like a metal pole of some type.
Okay. What color?
A crowbar.
What color clothing is he wearing?
Looks like blue jeans, a white short sleeve shirt, and a blue long sleeve undershirt.
Just before 7 a.m. on April 21st, the Escondido Police Department received a 911 call of a man striking cars with a metal pole in the downtown area. A few minutes later, an officer located the suspect, Stephen Olson, behind a business in the 200 block of West 2nd Avenue. At the time, he was holding a crowbar and a window squeegee. The officer tried to convince Olson to put the objects down so he could speak with him regarding the 911 call. Olson displayed erratic behavior and he was speaking incoherently. However, he displayed no threatening behaviors and he ultimately ran away.
Steven, put the crowbar down, dude. Put the crowbar down. Put the crowbar down. Put the crowbar down.
What's up?
Put the crowbar down.
What's going on?
The one in the stand. Put it down. Throw it down on the ground, dude. Put the crowbar down.
What's up?
Put it down.
Yeah.
Put it on the ground.
What's up?
Put it on the ground, Steven. One King, it's Stephen Olson. He's just 11-5. I'll stand by for cover until I detain him. Steven, sit down. And One King, he's running westbound. I'm not in pursuit. RP advised no 594.
While Olson was exhibiting signs and symptoms of being under the influence of a central nervous system stimulant, the officer chose not to pursue Olson and force a confrontation, but instead remained on scene to contact the original reporting party and gather more information. Officer Moore, who was en route to an unrelated burglary alarm, came upon Olson walking in the street at 2nd Avenue and Broadway just a few minutes later. Officer Moore recognized Olson as the subject described in the previous 911 call, and he had had numerous contacts with him in the past. Officer Moore attempted to address Olson from inside his vehicle using his loudspeaker, but Olson did not respond. As Officer Moore exited his vehicle, Olson immediately advanced on him. Olson had dropped the squeegee in the roadway and was holding only the crowbar. Olson continued to advance on the officer, stating, quote, "You've got some problem and you're going to get hit." Officer Moore drew his handgun and gave Olson several commands to drop the crowbar and also several use of force warnings as he backed away for approximately 65 feet before ultimately firing 7 rounds at Olson from a distance of about 7 feet. Upon seeing Olson in the roadway, Officer Moore used his loudspeaker and told Olson to leave the street, and also sounded his air horn. Officer Moore has used these de-escalation tactics successfully in the past. However, this time, Olson remained in the street, so Officer Moore exited his vehicle to speak with him.
Steven, drop that.
You got some problem.
Drop it now. Steven, you're gonna get shot.
Oh, you're gonna get hit. You're trying.
Drop it.
I don't know what happened.
Drop it.
Some of I did the best.
Drop that now.
I'm not sure it's like that.
Steven, I'm gonna shoot you. Drop that pipe now. Drop it. 3 King, shots fired. Suspect is down. Start medics. I'm code 4.
You all good?
Yeah.
Do we need safety concerns anyway?
No.
Olson was struck 6 times. Additional officers arrived and immediately began rendering aid. Olson was transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. Over the past year, Olson was arrested 4 times for threatening people with deadly weapons, including a box cutter, a knife, a piece of metal, and a stick. He was previously sent to prison for an assault with a deadly weapon and served a prison term for that crime. He has been placed on 5 mental health holds at local hospitals since 2015. Since the start of 2021, Olson was the subject of at least 23 radio calls for service, ranging from trespassing to assaultive behavior and threatening behavior.
As you just saw, Stephen Olson had an extensive pattern of violent criminal behavior. I do not share this to vilify him. Stephen needed intensive help. Instead, he was placed into a seriously flawed revolving door system that processes people from jail to the streets, to services to the streets, back to jail, and back to the streets. It is a system that relies upon a person to come to their own conclusion that they need serious help, and far too often does not end until that person finally commits a crime serious enough to be incarcerated or worse. Police officers have a legal, moral, and ethical obligation to protect our community from criminal behavior, particularly if it involves violent individuals. Our officers train extensively to resolve potentially violent encounters peacefully, and we do so thousands of times every year. In fact, in 2020, we used force in just 0.3% of all contacts. Last year, our officers attended de-escalation training, implicit bias training, and we recently launched a new de-escalation policy. As I mentioned in our public release of that policy, de-escalation is a series of tactics to help us resolve incidents peacefully, but it is not the answer to every problem. Our obligation to protecting the community means that there will be times where we cannot simply walk away and hope that no one gets hurt. Thank you for taking the time to view this video.